might be under old logs, or under bark of trees, or burrowed under the ground. But they will stay there and they will sleep the winter away. And then when spring comes again, they'll come out, fly off to a nice location they think is good and safe, and they'll begin the whole process again. Welcome to Nature Explores Insects, presented by the Danbury Library, where we explore the wonderful, tiny world of insects, bugs, and arachnids. This week, we're looking at wasps. Wasps are fierce predators that hunt down and eat many of the bugs that damage our plants. They eat grasshoppers, aphids, flies, and other bees and wasps. They also eat nectar, tree sap, fruit, and can even be attracted to human food, especially food that has sugar in it. Since they eat both plants and other insects, they're what are known as omnivores. It means they eat a little bit of everything. Wasps are durable and adaptable creatures. This allows them to live in just about any climate and on nearly every continent on the earth. The exceptions are the frigid areas of the Arctic and Antarctic. It's just too cold there for them. Now, while many people don't like bees, the fact is bees really don't want to sting us. You see, if a bee stings someone, they die soon after. A bee's stinger is made of two barbed lancets that get stuck in whatever they sting. Because the lancets are stuck, the bee can't pull the stinger back out. When the bee flies off, it leaves the stinger behind. The problem is that stinger is a part of the bee's body, and what it also leaves behind is part of its digestive tract, plus chunks of muscle and nerves. This is why bees die soon after stinging, so they really don't want to sting us. Now, the reason I'm mentioning this with the bees is because with wasps, it's completely different. Wasp stings do not have barbed parts on them. No, they're completely smooth. What this means is that if a wasp stings someone, it can pull the stinger out and sting again and pull the stinger out and sting again and pull the stinger out. So a wasp can sting you as many times as it wants to, and it won't hurt the wasp at all. This makes them a lot more aggressive, and the reason they're designed this way is because they use their stinger a lot of times to catch and capture food that they want to eat. Like I said, they eat other insects, and they use their stinger and the venom in their stinger to neutralize their prey so they can bring it back to the nest. Lots of wasps make interesting and intricate nests. What they do is they chew up strips of bark in their mandibles, and they mix that up with their spit. And when it comes out, they can form it into thin layers, almost like a papery-like substance. So when we think of wasp nests, for the most part, we think of big things that hang from trees, but they don't start out that way. A wasp nest starts out very small, often around the size of a walnut or a golf ball. An early nest is just big enough to hold the first batch of eggs, but by the end of the summer, that nest can reach the size of a basketball or even larger. Those are those big ones we see hanging from trees. Inside the nest are little tiny chambers called cells, where the eggs and the young wasps will live until they're mature and able to fly. Other wasps, like mud daubers, make their nests out of dirt and mud. These guys don't live in large colonies. In fact, they tend to be small groups, usually sometimes down to a single wasp. The female will build these simple nests containing the cells where she lays her egg, one egg inside of each cell. She also inserts a captured and paralyzed spider into each cell for her offspring to eat when they hatch in the spring. And then she closes the cell up so nothing can get in there. When the egg hatches, the baby wasp will eat the spider, grow, and then when it's big enough, it'll pop its way out of the cell and fly off. Some wasps, like yellow jackets and cicada killers, they live underground, and you're not going to see their nest, at least not most of it. What you'll see sticking out of the ground is a small cone-like pile of dirt with a hole in the center. That hole is where the wasps come in and out of their nest. And what they do is they crawl into that hole and they go down a long tunnel that gets them to a big opening underground where they have built a papery nest, kind of like the ones that we see in trees. Being underground gives them some extra protection from predators and also helps to preserve the nest. Now, the most important wasp in this whole colony is the queen. It is the queen who lays all the eggs that will make the colony. She's also the one who begins construction on the nest in the spring. When spring comes, the queen wakes up from hibernation and she begins building a nest. And remember, at first these nests are very small, about the size of a walnut, which is about that big. And she's building that all by herself, and it's just big enough to hold her first few eggs. Her first few eggs are her worker wasps, and when they're big enough, they take over the building of the nest, the maintaining of it, and the finding of food. Once that happens, the queen kind of settles into her nest and she begins laying lots of eggs. And from those few eggs she first laid and those few worker wasps, the colony can grow as big as 50,000 members. Whoa! And the thing is, they'll do this over one summer, about 3 months. The reason is that this colony, as big as it might get, is not going to last very long. In fall to early winter, all the wasps, except for the few new queens that were hatched, will all die. The new queens will leave the nest and they will find places where they can safely hibernate. It might be under old logs or under bark of trees or burrowed under the ground. But they will stay there and they will sleep the winter away. And then when spring comes again, they'll come out, fly off to a nice location they think is good and safe, and they'll begin the whole process again of making that little walnut-sized nest and filling it with eggs so that the workers will be hatched and eventually by the summer have a big, huge nest of wasps. Now, on a whole, wasps don't have very long lives. The worker wasps, who are all female, have an average lifespan of around 12 to 22 days. That's less than a month. However, the drones, which are the male wasps, live slightly longer, and the queens can live up to 1 year. Remember, they hibernate during the winter. So, are wasps dangerous to us? Well, they can be. If left alone, wasps can be beneficial, especially for gardeners. Remember, they eat bugs that will come along and destroy our plants. But unfortunately, a number of the places where wasps like to build colonies and set up nests are areas that we also occupy. They like to hang out around houses, especially the eaves of houses under the roofs. The reason being is that that area keeps the rain off the nest and allows it to get nice and big. It also keeps the wind away. So sometimes we will find these guys trying to build nests near our garages or in our gardens or under our front porches, and we don't want them there. Because even though they're beneficial, these are very aggressive creatures who are fiercely protective of their nest. This is very bad if you're allergic to wasp stings, because when they sting you, they put a venom in your body. We can have a very dangerous reaction. It can make our throat feel really tight, and we might get hives, and then we might have to go to the hospital or use an EpiPen to make ourselves feel better. And if we're in those kind of situations, we really don't want wasps near us, do we? No. The thing is, what makes wasps really dangerous, even if we're not allergic to them, is how they behave. Now, as we said, they're very aggressive and they're very defensive of their nests, but they also do something else. You see, when a wasp stings someone, they release a pheromone. A pheromone is a sort of hormone that gives off a specific smell that other wasps react to. And they go, oh, something's going on. Because what that pheromone tells other wasps is, hey, there's an intruder here. Attack! And all the wasps will start getting really agitated and they're going, oh, someone's attacking the nest. And next thing you know, there are wasps everywhere. So being stung by a wasp, especially near a nest, is very, very bad and can actually be really dangerous. For this reason, wasp nests should be avoided if at all possible. So if we see that big gray ball-looking thing hanging in a tree, we don't mess with it. We don't throw sticks at it. We don't try and hit it with a rock. We leave it alone. And if we see a nest hanging from the house or the garage or the porch, we don't interact with it. We don't try to remove it ourselves, because if we do, we're going to irritate those wasps and they're going to go into that attack mode. What we do instead is we call someone who will come along who's a professional and knows how to safely remove the wasps and get that nest away from your house. So while these again are very beneficial creatures, they can also be really dangerous for us. So we need to be careful when around wasps. So I want to thank you today for joining me for Nature Explorers Insects, and I hope you enjoyed learning about these interesting, if stingy, little creatures. Until next time, stay safe and stay curious. Bye, everyone.